Hello, wonderful parents. Are you puzzled or even a bit worried about some of the strange things your baby does? You're not alone. Becoming a parent is an incredible journey, but it can also be filled with questions and anxieties, especially when it comes to those little bundles of joy who communicate in mysterious ways. It's amazing how these tiny humans, fresh into the world, exhibit behaviors that are both endearing and sometimes a little concerning. Trust me, I've seen it all, from the way they clench their tiny fists to the surprising sounds they make. It's enough to make even the most experienced parent wonder, is this normal? That's why I'm here to help. In this video, we'll explore 6 common yet peculiar baby behaviors that often startle new parents. We'll break down each behavior, explain why it happens, and most importantly, help you understand when there's no need for concern and when it might be time to consult a pediatrician. So sit back, relax, and let's decipher the fascinating world of baby behavior together. And before we dive in, share in the comments any quirky habits your little one has. We'd love to hear your stories. First up is the startle reflex, also known as the Moro reflex. Picture this, you're cuddling your little one, and suddenly they fling their arms and legs out. You might find yourself thinking, whoa, where did that come from? Don't worry, it's not your imagination, and your baby hasn't turned into a tiny superhero. This automatic response is perfectly normal. It's called the Moro reflex, and it's a primitive reflex present at birth. Think of it as a leftover reflex from our evolutionary past. Now, what triggers this reflex? It could be anything: a loud noise, a sudden change in position, even a light breeze across their face. It's all about your baby's still developing nervous system. Most babies will exhibit the startle reflex up until they are about 3 to 4 months old. As their nervous system matures, you'll notice this reflex gradually fading away. And just like that, no more mini superhero poses. Next, let's talk about a behavior that's as common as it is perplexing: hiccups. Those tiny, repetitive hic sounds might seem alarming, especially when they come from someone so small. But rest assured, for babies, hiccups are usually harmless and often just a part of their developing digestive system. Think about it. Babies spend a good chunk of their time eating, and sometimes that process can lead to a bit of air getting trapped in their little tummies. Their diaphragms, the muscles responsible for breathing, are still developing and can contract involuntarily, causing those adorable hiccups we all know and sometimes get annoyed by. Feeding, especially if it's rushed or if your baby gulps down air along with their milk, is a common culprit for hiccups. It's like when we eat too quickly or drink something fizzy. Hiccups can strike at any age. In most cases, baby hiccups will resolve on their own within a few minutes. However, as a caring parent, you're probably wondering when hiccups should warrant a call to the pediatrician. While hiccups themselves are rarely a cause for concern, pay attention to how they affect your baby. If your little one seems distressed by the hiccups, if they interfere with feeding or sleep, or if they persist for an extended period, it's a good idea to reach out to your healthcare provider. They can help rule out any underlying issues and offer reassurance or guidance. Remember, you know your baby best, and if something doesn't feel right, don't hesitate to seek professional advice. Have you ever watched your baby sleep and noticed their breathing? It can be quite fascinating, but also a little unnerving at times. Unlike our regular rhythmic breaths, newborns often have irregular breathing patterns that might seem erratic or even cause you to hold your breath while you watch them. 1 minute, they're breathing rapidly, their tiny chests rising and falling quickly. The next, they might pause for a few seconds, as if they've forgotten to breathe altogether, before resuming normal breathing. If you've experienced this, you're not alone. This pattern, known as periodic breathing, is completely typical in newborns. So why do babies breathe this way? Well, it all boils down to their developing respiratory systems. Their brainstem, which controls breathing, is still maturing, and their tiny airways are more prone to collapsing slightly during pauses in breathing. It's like their bodies are still figuring out the whole breathing thing, and they're doing their best to get it right. As your baby grows, their breathing patterns will gradually become more regular and predictable. But when is it time to worry? While periodic breathing is generally harmless, there are some red flags to watch out for. If you notice prolonged pauses in breathing, longer than 15 to 20 seconds, persistent rapid breathing, or any signs of distress, such as blue lips or nostrils, seek medical advice promptly. These could be signs of an underlying respiratory issue that needs attention. Remember, When it comes to your baby's breathing, it's always better to err on the side of caution and consult a healthcare professional if you have any concerns. Chapter 4. Crossed or wandering eyes. Eyes on the prize, eventually. Have you noticed your baby's eyes crossing or wandering? It's not uncommon to see a newborn's eyes doing a little dance of their own, especially in the first few months of life. Their eye muscles are still developing and their eye coordination is a work in progress, so those adorable peepers might not always be perfectly aligned. Imagine trying to control two separate cameras at the same time. It takes practice. In the same way, babies need time to strengthen their eye muscles and develop the coordination needed to focus both eyes together. So, those occasional crossed or wandering eyes are usually nothing to fret about. As your baby grows and their vision develops, their eye movements will become smoother and more coordinated. By the time they reach 6 months of age, their eyes should be aligned most of the time. However, if you notice that the misalignment persists beyond 6 months, or if it seems to be getting worse, it's advisable to consult an eye specialist. They can assess your baby's eye health and determine if any intervention is needed. Early detection and treatment are crucial for ensuring healthy vision development, so don't hesitate to seek professional advice if you have any concerns about your baby's eyes. Chapter 5. Sneezing. Tiny explosions, big relief. Ah, the sneeze. That sudden, forceful expulsion of air from the nose and mouth. We all do it, and babies are no exception. In fact, you might find that your little one sneezes quite frequently, especially in the first few months of life. But before you reach for the tissues and worry about a potential cold, let's clear the air about baby sneezes. Frequent sneezing in infants is often just their way of clearing their nasal passages. Think of it as their built-in cleaning system. Their tiny noses are still developing, and their nasal passages are much smaller than ours, making them more susceptible to getting clogged with dust, lint, milk residue, or even just dry air. Sneezing helps to expel these irritants, keeping their airways clear. So, when should you be concerned? While most baby sneezes are nothing to worry about, pay attention to the accompanying symptoms. If your baby's sneezing is accompanied by a fever, cough, or difficulty breathing, it could be a sign of an illness, such as a cold or respiratory infection. In these cases, it's best to contact your pediatrician for guidance. They can assess your baby's symptoms and recommend the best course of action. Remember, you know your baby best, and if something doesn't feel right, don't hesitate to seek professional advice. Chapter 6. Jerky movements and tremors, the wiggles of development. Let's talk about those adorable yet sometimes startling jerky movements and tremors that babies often exhibit. You might be cuddling your little one and suddenly notice their arms or legs making sudden involuntary movements. Or perhaps you've observed slight tremors in their chin or hands, especially when they're sleeping or excited. These jerky movements and tremors are incredibly common in infants, and in most cases, they're nothing to be concerned about. They're simply a reflection of your baby's developing nervous system. As their nervous system matures, they're gaining better control over their movements. But in the meantime, these little glitches are par for the course. Think of it like this. Your baby's brain is like a complex computer system that's still booting up and loading all the software it needs to function smoothly. As it processes information and sends signals to the muscles, there might be a few hiccups along the way, resulting in those jerky movements or tremors. In most cases, these movements will gradually diminish as your baby grows and their nervous system matures. However, as always, it's important to be aware of any red flags. If the tremors are severe, persistent, or occur when your baby is calm and relaxed, it's important to seek medical evaluation. While these could still be benign, it's always best to rule out any underlying medical conditions. Your pediatrician can assess your baby's movements and provide reassurance or recommend further investigation if needed. Outro: cherishing the quirks of babyhood. As we've explored these 6 common yet peculiar baby behaviors, I hope you've gained a newfound appreciation for the intricacies of infant development. Remember, many behaviors that seem strange or even alarming are actually part of normal development. From the startle reflex to those adorable hiccups, these quirks are all part of the journey. However, as a parent, your instincts are invaluable. If something doesn't feel right, if you're ever concerned about your baby's behavior or well-being, don't hesitate to reach out to a healthcare professional. Trust your gut and seek guidance from those who are trained to support you and your little one. Share your experiences or concerns in the comments below. Our community is here to support you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, cherish these moments with your little one.